This is the Tony Doe Podcast.
Hi, welcome again to the Tony Doe Podcast, where I get to have conversations with radio people and get them to share their radio stories. Let's meet my guest on this episode.
Hi there, I'm James Iroro. I'm a broadcaster with Rise 106.7 FM in Delta State. I'm an author of 6 books, as well as a digital consultant. I help people bring out their creative juice through content creation, as well as book production.
So James, why radio?
Let's say I'm a shy person. So I see radio as my escape route. So since they are not seeing me, I just get to hide behind the microphone and express myself without being seen. Yeah. So secretly, I'm still very shy.
For someone who's shy in nature, I'm really curious about this though. How did you get into radio?
Funny story, I've always been a talkative, right? I've always enjoyed talking, and a lot of people feel I could talk for a living. And so while growing up, I thought being a lawyer would give me that, talking spirit. But it turns out, hey, that was not where I was called to be. And so sometime in 2013, I there was a quiz on radio, and I turned out to be one of the lucky winners. And I was asked to come to the radio station back then in Benin City to pick up my prize. So my thinking was I was just going to go to the front desk, pick up whatever it is that they were going to give to me. But I was surprised when I was asked to come to the main studio, like the live studio. Man, I froze. Literally, I froze. I couldn't think through. And then he prepped me up and said, okay, I was going to be on radio. I was going to be on air. I would talk about how I felt and, just a little chat before I go up. And trust me, that was the longest 10 minutes of my life. I can't remember what I said, but if you listen to me that day, you will know that my voice was very, very shaky. And then after we're done, when we turned up the mic, and I was like, so this is what you do. Like, you just sit here and talk and get paid. From that very moment, I told myself, hey, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is where I want to be in the radio space. And it wasn't easy. I had to do trainings, and then eventually, hey, I'm here today.
So who would you say are your radio mentors?
That's a tough one. I really don't have radio people as mentors that I say, okay, this was what really got me started with radio. But there are 3 people who I can just pick out to say, okay, yes, they contributed immensely to my growth. The first is Mr. Ben Okotiebo. He's the owner of 3 radio stations here in Delta State, and listening to his programs every time got me inspired. Like, okay, if he could go through what he went through, then eventually I can also go through such and then become a better presenter as well. And then secondly, I think Fresh Prince is another person who contributed immensely to my growth or to my desire to be a radio presenter. And then the one that cemented it all was Fola Folayo. She gave me the training and the tools that I needed to get started on this journey as a broadcaster.
In your experience and from your perspective, what would it take to be a good radio broadcaster?
What does it take to be a good broadcaster? We all know what it is. Information and confidence is what matters the most. So you need to be confident in yourself, and you need to have accurate and relevant information to dispense. Because once that mic comes up, they don't want to care who you are. They just want to hear whatever it is that you have to say. And if you don't have something valuable to say, you cannot just be a good broadcaster.
What do you think about podcasts?
Podcasts are making headway for those who are unable to get on the radio space. So those who are still trying to get on radio, I encourage them to get on podcasts, because I see podcasts as the future of the media. I see podcasts as the future of the media, considering all the restrictions and all the, licenses that go here and there. Podcast gives you a place where you could just be yourself and reach out to your audience way faster than some traditional radio would get to. So yes, podcast is a big hit that is coming into this space that a lot of people need to start paying close attention to.
In light of recent events, how would you describe the role of the National Broadcasting Commission, the NBC?
NBC has lost its voice, if you ask me. They are no longer the controlling voice that would have expected for an organization that was channeled to helping broadcasters. But right now, I see them as the tool in the hands of the government. Yeah, with the recent happenings, I don't think they like us or they have us in mind. They are more about pleasing their boss who is at the top. And so, yeah, to me, if I would rate them, they are a very low point in my own thinking.
If you had the superpower, James, what would that superpower be and how would you use it?
If I had a superpower, that would definitely be teleportation. Yes, teleportation would be my superpower if I had one, because I love to travel around the world. I want to be everywhere in the world, right? And having this ability will get me there faster, right? While I'm talking right now, I could be in, who knows, Dubai or Paris, if I had that gift. So that would definitely be my superpower if I had one.
What are your 3 worst pet peeves?
Number 1, people who waste other people's time. And it's a common trend in Nigeria. We waste people's time for no good reason. Just decide to waste people's time. I hate people who waste people's time. And number 2, I hate people who expect your life simply because they are paying you, right? So I'm rendering a service to you. And because of that, you feel you are now my boss and my Lord and Savior, which is a no-no for me. Please don't. There is a boundary. Don't cross that boundary. And lastly, for my pet peeves, I hate people who put too much pressure on other people simply because they cannot get that same thing. So I can't afford to get something. And rather than accepting my reality, I tend to put pressure on every other person that can't do it, right? I hate those things. Just let everybody be on their own lane. Do your own thing and be good for yourself.
Do you have a favorite meal?
My favorite meal. Well, I'm a certified foodie, so I don't have a favorite food. I love anything edible and healthy. Yeah, I don't have a favorite food. Anything edible and healthy.
Okay. What legacy does James Iroro want to leave behind?
I want to be that guy that sparks a genius in everybody around me, right? Bringing out the genius in you is just my life goal in life.
Thanks for coming on the show, James. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me on the show. I am James Iroro.
If you enjoyed the podcast, do me a favor and tell somebody about it. Let them check it out as well. Also, if you'd like to support us, the links are in the show notes on how you can do that. Thank you for listening.